Warehouse robotics, today and in the future. Well, joining us today to speak about that very thing, Drew Bailey, Vice President, Design Engineering at Geodis. Drew, great to see you. Welcome.
Glad to be here, Russell.
Drew, I think it's fair to say that automation in the warehouse is just vital. It's absolutely vital if business is going to succeed. So walk us through that, though. Let's just develop that scenario. Why would that be the case? What do you say?
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, over the last, let's say, 5 to 10 years, it's become a cost of doing business. In a lot of ways, the choice is made for us in some ways. I think it offers the obvious advantages in terms of the well-documented labor shortage and wage pressures and things like that. But, it's something that offers a lot of other advantages too, such as, utilization of space and people like working with automation. So it brings a level of excitement even at the floor level. People who enjoy interacting with robots in their day-to-day job or automation of any kind in their day-to-day job.
Well, clearly robotics is one of the technologies, one of the types of automation that's really taken off in the last, several years. Let's talk about the types of robotics that have been popular, if you will. What would they be? Walk us through that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that traditional material handling automation was long-term, asset-intensive projects. You bolt a lot of infrastructure to the floor, et cetera. And I think that the onset of robotics in this space is primarily to solve that issue, in my view. Faster deployments, more simplistic deployments. You don't have to bolt a lot of infrastructure to the floor. The phrase that I use a lot is buy what you need only when you need it, instead of buying for some future design year, 3 to 5 years in the future. You can buy for what you need now and then add incrementally to that as your business materializes. So I think in my view, those are the biggest advantages that robotics have solved. And of course, there are varying kinds. I'm talking primarily about the picking AMRs and robotics in that statement, but there's also the onset of articulated arm robotics that are doing actual piece picking from usually from totes or something like that to order containers. So that's been, I'd say, the last couple of years the technology that's reached maturity that we'll start seeing a lot more of, and we're using a lot more of.
Well, that's what we have been seeing. It's what we are seeing. Let's talk about what we will see. Automation, technology, and innovation, as you see it over the next several years, how is it evolving? Where's it going to go? What do you say?
Well, I think if I piggyback on what I was just talking about, which is piece picking robotics, a lot of the focus over the last couple of years has been on the vision to grasp and obtain items that are randomized and totes and things like that. I think the next phase is how to place those into order containers. So a lot of times that requires specific orientation of items, that a human can do with great cognition and dexterity and so forth that we're still teaching robots to do. So I think that's one thing. And the next thing I would say is probably packing. So a lot of the investment has been focused on reducing travel. So you have the picking part that I was talking about, placing part, and then I think packing would be another big place where labor exists that will be a huge focus in the coming years.
When you talk about automation technology out there, it's kind of like a candy store. There's just so many things out there. I guess the question then is, how do I determine what automation I need and how much of it do I need? So help me with that. What would you say?
Yeah, I think maybe the obvious answer in terms of how much do you need is find your labor. Where's your labor in the facility, and find ways to reduce your dependency on it. That doesn't mean that you need to hire less people. It means that probably your the business and e-commerce and with all of that, the labor is still going to increase, but maybe not commensurate or proportional to the volume. And so I think finding your labor is a big thing, and the market is saturated. There's been a huge investment in money, talent, et cetera, in this space to try to solve these problems. And I think the strong will survive, and you need to try to do your best to discern who those players are and plant your roots. And I think software is a big piece of that in terms of evaluating providers. Don't just focus purely on the hardware, which you can see, but also the software. So those are some things I would say in terms of selecting the right partner and how to determine what you might need.
Hmm. Let's talk about 3PLs such as Geodis and how it is that utilizing the kind of technologies that we've been talking about is advantageous to you. So walk us through that. How is how is that something that benefits your operations with your client base?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm honest, that I don't think we're all that dissimilar to someone who does an in-house order fulfillment model. We do a third-party order fulfillment model where we do order fulfillment on the behalf of our clients. But a lot of the same benefits that would apply to them if they were doing it in-house apply to us. So we're not immune to the labor shortage and wage pressure. I think something that may be unique is that our clients want to work with companies that are innovative, and so it helps us compete maybe against our competitors if we bring that innovation to bear on a particular pursuit where we're trying to secure a contract with a new client or a renewal or something like that. So I think in that way it's unique, but in a lot of ways in the traditional problems that you're trying to solve in terms of labor and wage pressures and speed and accuracy and all of those things would apply to anyone who's using the technology. Mm-hmm. We just use it at scale. Apart from the big names that I won't mention in terms of huge retailers, I think 3PLs have probably more space than anybody else that does in-house fulfillment themselves. And with space comes opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Final question, Drew, and if you can, just briefly tell us or give us some examples of how Geodis is optimizing the operations of some of its customers. What can you say there?
It runs the gamut. I would say we use robotics for anything as simple as stretch wrapping a pallet and moving trash from point A to point B, all the way to spending hundreds of millions of dollars on order fulfillment solutions such as goods to person systems and the like. So, and everything in between. So you don't have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars. You can spend hundreds of thousands or a couple million. But we're prepared to have the talent and capability and partners that we work with and to develop good relationships with to meet all of those needs. And we love doing it. So we're enjoying where we are in history in terms of all the technology that's being brought to bear and being a part of that.
Well, great topic and a great company. Drew, I know you're busy here, but you found time to speak with us about this, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Russell. It's my pleasure.
It's Drew Bailey of Geodis and speaking with us today about robotics in the warehouse of the future. Thanks for watching.